Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video where we will be trying the world's first silicone infused sponge, and I'm talking about the super sponge, which looks like this. This is the packaging. I have the sponge right here. Obviously I already used it, and I have this little brush cleaner that it comes with. So let's get right into the nitty gritty of this sponge. I saw it on Tati's channel a while back and they were available for pre-order. So I pre-ordered my sponge. I don't remember if it was in April or in May, but when I was pre-ordering it, it said in the bottom, it stated like right before you check out that they weren't going to be shipping until the first week of June. So here we are. What is it, like the second week of June? Second week of June. And I received my sponge. This is literally how it came in, this little plastic thing, which is actually super cute packaging. This is the sponge. And I'm going to be honest right off the bat. I thought this was going to be like a kind of like a cover, a silicone cover on the sponge. It is literally infused into the sponge, because if you notice right here, it looks like, obviously you guys can see a line right there. It's super smooth. There's no like any like little lifting or anything that I feel like will happen, because it's actually infused into the sponge. So this bottom part is actually like the sponge part. My sponge is wet right now, or damp, because obviously I did use it, but I did want to clean it because they included this little thing which is meant to clean your sponge. I was like, oh, you know, I have one of these already, and I use it to wash my face. But I discovered that it was to wash your sponge, and I was like, how is this going to work to wash your sponge? So I decided to wash it before, you know, I showed you guys the sponge again. And this thing like took everything out of the sponge immediately. Like as I started, you know, going like this, I put a little bit of my brush cleaner and sponge cleaner that I use, the soap. They say it's better to use a bar soap, but I used my liquid soap and it worked amazing. I just put some on here and I went to town under the water, and it took everything out right away. Like I didn't even take long or nothing. And then I was like, okay, so how is it going to remove it from the sponge? So I went to town on here and it took everything out. My dumbass forgot to like record that part for you guys, because obviously it would be nice to show you guys, but I will do like a quick little Insta story and I'll show you guys how I clean it with this. So follow me on Instagram. My link is always in the description bar below. But as you can see, like it really just is super soft. This sponge it has a different texture as opposed to the Beauty Blender or any of my other sponges. Honestly, I feel like it's more bouncy, more soft, way more soft as opposed to all of those. It's a not different material. I don't know what material it is, obviously, but it is definitely much softer than those. So I like that they included this. It has their little logo back here. It's super cute. I like the color, the lilac color. Like I said, I thought this was just going to be like a silicone little mold on top of the sponge, but it is not. It is super interesting, and it actually expands when you wet it, which I thought was crazy as well. I was like, how is it going to expand if it has silicone on it? You guys remember these little bra inserts? These little chi-chi things? I stopped using this sponge. Like it worked for me. I liked how it applied my foundation, but after time you just forget about this kind of product. This is more like a gimmick product, and I feel like this is like when you get it right. So like expectation versus no. It's kind of like this. It's like the expectation is right here, and this is the reality that you get, you know? But the timing was off because we got this later as the expectation, but this is an amazing expectation. It's better than this reality that we got first. So I really like that it does expand, that you can wet it, and how easy it is to clean. Now I applied my foundation today, obviously using this sponge, and I wanted to try this out with a full coverage sponge, a very full coverage sponge, did I say sponge? A very full coverage foundation, and I decided to use my Huda Beauty because this is honestly like the thickest, fullest coverage foundation I have in my collection. And it's definitely a sponge that, there I go again, definitely a sponge. It's definitely a foundation that I have to prepare for, like wearing it, because I know it's full coverage and I know it tends to look cakey. I don't mind the cakey look, but sometimes, you know, I would like it to look flawless and airbrush and full coverage without looking cakey and thick and heavy on the skin. So this thing did its thing, and it literally made this foundation look so beautiful. It made it look like I'm wearing my, you know, everyday foundation. This sponge made this foundation look like it's lightweight on the skin. I know you can obviously still tell that I'm wearing foundation, but I don't feel it heavy, cakey, or anything like that on the skin, which is what surprised me, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna use less, because I saw the review, and less is more with this sponge because it doesn't absorb the product. The product kind of stays on top of the sponge, and if it doesn't, you know, it goes all on your skin. So make sure you don't get a lot of foundation and like pack it on, because this foundation, the whole point of it is that it's non-absorbent. So you will get 2 to 4 times more foundation coverage, as it says right here in the little packaging. It says it's marshmallow soft. It expands when wet. It's antibacterial, so the silicone infused barrier limits bacteria, which that is totally amazing. It scrubs clean, and it has a longer lifespan, lasts 2 to 4 times longer than other sponges. It's latex free, and it's also cruelty free, and they do have the patent on this pending. So thought I would share that with you guys. And it says it's made in China, silicone coated in Canada. So that's interesting. But yeah, I again was so surprised with this. It is such a really pretty it's such a pretty purple, like lilac shade, and it does have like little glitter flecks. If you guys can tell, I hope it's coming off on camera. It has really pretty glitter flecks in it, which I personally think it's so cute. It just adds a little touch of cuteness. It's nothing that, guys, so I didn't see in a lot of people's reviews on this sponge that they blended out their concealer or powder, so I went ahead and decided to use the sponge to blend my concealer out and apply my powder. As you can see right here, I'm applying the concealer, and I was pretty impressed that it actually blended out super nicely and very effortlessly, super easy. I thought it was going to be harder. It definitely gives your concealer more coverage, and it keeps that pigmentation, which I really liked about blending my concealer out with this sponge. I think I would definitely do my foundation and concealer, because it worked amazingly to blend out my concealer, and I feel like it kept my under eye very highlighted, as opposed to like sometimes the concealers can blend way too much out and it doesn't keep that pigment, but with this sponge it definitely did. I also decided to apply my powder, which I will say it was a little bit not hard, but for the sponge to hold the powder towards the end, it was a little bit harder, but it still picked up the powder very nicely and deposited it well on my skin. And I feel like I've never had a better powder application than with this sponge, because as you apply it, it literally blends it into your skin. You can see it doesn't stay like super intense once you're patting it and blending it in. It doesn't stay super white. I didn't even have to go over my powder or my face with a brush like I normally do, because I just felt like this blended it into the skin so nicely, and I really love that as well. And I don't know about you guys, but look at how beautiful my skin look. I feel like it looks so flawless, and this sponge, it just did a miracle for my skin, especially for my pores, and it just made it look so smooth and soft, which is why I kept touching my face, because my foundation didn't feel cakey or heavy either. That's why I kept touching it, because I was so impressed with the finish that this sponge gave all my makeup. Okay, something else that they recommend is that when you wet this sponge, or you know, when you're going to dampen it, or when you wash it and you're going to wring it out, you wring it out down, because the water will come out of the sponge part as opposed to up here, which they say can cause ripping if you try to force the water out through over here, which I tried it and it didn't come out. No water came out. So when you wring it, you're going to wring it down, and the water will come out of the sponge part down here, not the silicone part. So just something to keep in mind if you want to try this sponge. Honestly, to me, this is like something that I feel like a lot of people would be like, okay, that's something that I would use. It's the shape that we all like, the little egg, and it's more convenient than trying to use something like this. This is more of a gimmick, and this is like they got it right, you know? So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are about this sponge. I did a poll on Instagram and a lot of you guys wanted to see the review. So this is kind of like a little first impressions mini review. I will continue to use it because they also say that after 2 to 3 uses, the silicone will kind of get loose, but that's a good thing. So I want to see how it will be then, since this is my first use. So again, first impression little mini review. I will definitely update you guys in my favorites video and see how if I completely ended up liking it at the end of those uses. I will continue to use it again all throughout these 2 weeks left in June, and then I will let you guys know my final thoughts on it and how it is after it has expanded or the silicone has gotten a little loose. So yeah, that's basically it. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram so you can see the little demo of when I wash it, because I'm pretty sure you guys would like to see that, and I would like to show you guys as well. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this sponge. Is it something that you would try, or do you think this is also a gimmick? Thank you guys so much for watching. Like always, I appreciate all your support, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.